groove tapped into the hit zone known only as American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens. Here's the Top 40 debut of a multi-platinum heavy metal madman. This wild and wicked metal veteran has sold millions of albums, but he's never had a Top 40 hit until now. Here's Lita with Ozzy Osbourne, coming in at number 35 with Close My Eyes Forever.
Number 27.
In his 11 years as lead singer for Black Sabbath, and in the decade he's spent since then as a solo artist, heavy metal headbanger Ozzy Osbourne has never had a Top 40 hit. At least not until he teamed up with Lita Ford to do an unexpectedly tender ballad.
American Top 40.
You've got the pulse of the pop world, American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens. Now we're up to the hit duet that features the former lead singer of one of the most infamous heavy metal bands ever, the English band called Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath were sort of like heavy metal founding fathers. The band formed in 1969 in Birmingham, England. At first, the press and radio almost ignored them, but word of mouth sold their records. So what made them so popular? Maybe it was the sledgehammer beat, maybe the thunderous, rumbling bass lines, maybe the sonic boom and crunch of guitars. Or maybe it was lead singer Ozzy Osbourne running around the stage, his long hair whipping from side to side, flashing peace signs, and Black Sabbath rose to the top of the heavy metal heap. Now, because of their name and some of the song titles, like Children of the Grave, some people thought, hey, do these guys dabble in the occult or what? Some said they were evil. But the band said they wrote about real things, like their anti-war song called War Pigs. Black Sabbath also hit the singles chart twice, and both songs are heavy metal classics. Listen to this. From 1970, that's a number 61 chart hit by Black Sabbath called Paranoid. Almost 10 years later, punk rock and speed metal bands played it twice as fast. Black Sabbath also hit the chart with this song. From 1972, that's Black Sabbath and their number 51 chart hit called Iron Man. Inspired by the comic book hero? Black Sabbath never said. Well, in 1979, singer Ozzy Osbourne left the group to form his own band called The Blizzard of Oz. And now the former lead singer of Black Sabbath has his first Top 40 hit ever, singing a duet with Lita Ford.
Casey's Top 40.
Now we're up to the first Top 40 hit for the Blizzard of Oz, a heavy metal headbanger whose hobby is cooking up a storm. Ozzy Osbourne's one of the original monsters of metal. As the lead singer of Black Sabbath, he's credited with being a pioneer in the ear-shattering, mind-blowing world of bludgeon rock. And as a solo artist, he's made headlines with his on-stage antics, most of which are too bizarre to mention. But the Oz claims he's a whole different person once he gets off the stage. To clean up his raucous rock ways, he's given up drinking and taken up cooking. So he has more control over what foods he eats, which is why he's lost some 25 pounds in the past year. Ozzy says he likes nothing better these days than working in the kitchen with his wife and kids, and he prides himself on being quite a fine cook. So fine, in fact, that you'll find his recipe for curry and vegetables in a recently published book called Rock and Roll Cuisine. Well, Ozzy's cooking again this week, cooking up a hit with one of rock's wildest women.
At number 15 is another slice of metal done ballad style. It's the hit duet by Lita Ford and Ozzy Osbourne. You know, now Ozzy's got a reputation for being, well, a heavy metal Looney Tune. So he says that this song is a nice change of pace for him. Quote, I must confess, I actually like doing a ballad now and then. I like to sing melody, you know. You're listening to American Top 40. I'm Shadoe Stevens. Now we're up to the performer who sets a new record for patience on the charts. He's now had the longest span of time in between his first chart single and first Top 40 hit. The old record was set by a group that first hit the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart in 1970 with this song.
He's come to take his children home.
That's the Grateful Dead with their first chart single, Uncle John's Band, which hit number 69 in 1970. The Dead wouldn't come alive in the top 40 until 17 years later with this song.
I will 5.
That's the top 10 song from 1987, Touch of Grey. It gave the Grateful Dead the longest span of time in between first chart single and first top 40 hit, 17 years. A record they've held until now. The artist who tops them first charted back in 1970, singing this record. From 1970, that's Paranoid, a number 61 hit for the English heavy metal band Black Sabbath, then featuring singer Ozzy Osbourne. 6 weeks ago, Ozzy finally hit the top 40, giving him a new record-setting time span of 18 years and 5 months between his first charting and first top 40 hit. The song that does it for Ozzy is a duet he sings with Lita Ford.
Around the world with a shadow.
Okay, lovers of truth and fact, get ready, because here comes this week's
Music.
From our good news, bad news file, first the good news. Ozzy Osbourne raised at least $100,000 at his Randy Rhoads tribute concert in Los Angeles. The bad news is Ozzy invited his front row fans to join him on stage for the last song of the concert, so they did, along with another 550 exuberant audience members. And, well, they went a little crazy and destroyed about $100,000 worth of equipment. Loved by many, loathed by some, Ozzy Osbourne has officially retired. That's what I said, retired. He threw in the towel, called it quits. At the end of his final show, the Blizzard of Oz himself was joined by his old Black Sabbath bandmates for a 4-song reunion. Days later, Ozzy and the Sabs were mobbed at Hollywood's Rock Walk, where they put their hands in cement for posterity. Heavy metal godfather Ozzy Osbourne has won a lawsuit against Music Confidential magazine. They published a story claiming he suffered from a stroke and was concealing it from his fans. The settlement included an undisclosed sum of money, probably truckloads of money, plus a formal public apology. It'll be appearing in full-page ads in issues of Billboard and Spin, and there's a charitable donation that has to be made to the Bridge School in San Francisco, which helps developmentally challenged children, and the International Rett Syndrome Association. I think you get the message about Ozzy. And that closes out another chapter of
Music.
Casey counts them down.
Well, now we're up to Love Fool, a sweet-sounding pop song by a band that has a fondness for the dark sound of heavy metal. If you only know the Cardigans by their current single, then you probably perceive their sound as sort of mellow pop. But if you've listened to their albums, then you know the Cardigans have a darker side. You see, they're also inspired by the music of hard rock and heavy metal groups like Pantera, Metallica, and Black Sabbath. In fact, the group has expressed their fondness by recording 2 covers of Black Sabbath songs on their albums. It's a move that has brought the Cardigans an interesting mix of fans. In fact, Black Sabbath's former lead singer, Ozzy Osbourne, recently brought his wife and kids to a Cardigan show in Los Angeles. He says it was the first concert he's been to in 12 years, and he enjoyed the experience. Quote, "I've heard so many people do versions of our song Iron Man, and they've always done it the same way. Now, for the first time, a band has used a little imagination. This fairy type of chick singing these dark, dark lyrics. It's an eerie twist." Unquote. This week, the pop band with a dark side has survey song number 22 on Casey's Top 40.
Casey's Top